6 packs of cigarettes all weekend. And he's got that raspy voice going now.
Listen, with whatever stress relief I could get for these Atlanta Braves, what they're doing to me, maybe that's a route that I should entertain. I'm just kidding, kids. Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, talking about the Atlanta Braves over the past 7 games specifically, it all's just kind of started to blend together. It's been that bad that it's just one negative after another.
You know, they were just 3 games under 500, and then now they've lost 7 straight. They're 10 games under 500, Andy, and it's going to be a very difficult thing for them to just get back into the wild card hunt. I think the division is almost just forget about that. Just do whatever you can to get yourself. Here's the thing, Andy, at the All-Star break, if they can just get themselves within a couple, 2-3 games, maybe below. They're not going to be at 500. If they can get close to 500 at the All-Star break, then maybe things will click after that. But right now, man, they just got to win a game.
So I've got something interesting for you, Jim, and our listeners. The Braves need to go 62-36. In order to get 89 wins. 89 wins is what they had a year ago that got them into the last wild card spot on the very last day of the season. So
think about that. 62-36. They're 27-37 right now. So they would have to lose one fewer game than they have right now and then go from 27 wins to 62 wins. Oh, my gosh. That's a hard thing to imagine.
Yeah, so what you can't do is go losing 14 of your last 17 and in that span lose 7 in a row, which is where they're at right now. They've put themselves in a spot where they've got to be really good if they have a chance to play postseason baseball. Now, there's a lot of reasons why we're in this spot. A lot of people are ready to fire Brian Snitker. Mm-hmm. You get on the X machine, you get on Facebook, they're all ready.
Oh, yeah.
They want Snit gone. Listen, the guy's going to retire at the end of the year. Snit's not the problem. Snit's made 7 postseasons in a row. He's won 6 division titles in a row. Mm-hmm. He's won a World Series. Brian Snitker's not just magically the problem. The problem starts up top. And this offseason was the problem. Alex Anthopoulos, maybe not the one that you really need to point the finger at. He's doing what he can with what he's being allowed. You need to point the finger at the top brass, the people controlling the money.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yep. And that's the thing. And the Braves are – Atlanta's not a small market. They're a little bit bigger than your mid-sized markets, but they're nowhere near – Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, where the big money, and Philadelphia, where the big money is paid out to these players. Atlanta can't afford to overpay guys like the Mets are overpaid for Soto.
The Braves are a type of organization that when they pay, they're paying guys that have earned it. They're not just bringing guys in for a one-year deal or bringing guys in because they think he could be good. They're not going to sign a Juan Soto to an outrageous contract. The Braves are smarter than that. They don't do that. But the Braves are 10th in Major League Baseball right now in salary. Mm-hmm. They're 10th. That's pretty high up.
Yep.
So you've got to question, have we overspent up to this point to now we can't do anything because we're worried about buying more property for the Battery? That's ridiculous. That can't be a priority.
The priority's got to be the players on the field. Number one priority should always be talent on the field because talent will draw in the people. If you have a mediocre talent on the field and a poor record, attendance will start to suffer. And then when that starts happening, then all the other things that you've got planned, you're like, we can't justify this. So it all starts with the play on the field. The one-loss record is the most important thing.
And, I'm all fired up over here, Jim, and we've not even talked about Craig Kimbrell yet. We've not even crossed that bridge yet.
I thought about you, man, when that happened.
Telling you.
He gets in one game.
Didn't pitch great, but wasn't bad. He got out of the inning. That's better than what a lot of our relief pitchers are doing. You got to give someone
more than an inning, man.
I agree. I agree.
I don't get it. They just totally dropped him.
The reason, my understanding behind it, the more I've read, the more I've listened, is that they wanted to not only give Craig Kimbrell an opportunity to pitch in a Braves uniform at least one more time, which there's still a possibility he could end up in a Braves uniform this season. It's a long shot. Yeah, it's a very long shot.
Nobody's picked him up yet.
But with that, they wanted to kind of showcase to the fans and the people to justify. They didn't want to just release them because no one's watching them except the people in Gwinnett that are showing up to the games. No one's able to see what Craig Kimbrell is now. I love the guy. He's the all-time saves leader for the Atlanta Braves and is possibly a Hall of Famer at the end of his career. But they wanted to show that, listen, this guy's maxing out at 91, 92. The fastball's not there anymore. The cutter's not there anymore. The breaking stuff ain't breaking like it used to. That was there was a little tactfulness behind calling him up and giving him that opportunity. They wanted to showcase that. Good for the Braves, good for him. He got out of the inning with that stuff, but it was after a walk and letting another guy on and getting a pick off, and it was an awkward appearance for him.
It was.
But like you said, I would have loved to have got a little bit bigger sample size of, hey, let's give him 3 appearances and see how he does. Maybe the velocity. Let's get him in Truist Park and see if we get some adrenaline going and see what the velocity is there.
Yeah, I agree. I think there should have been a little bit more leeway, if you will, with him. Have we heard anything about Iglesias? Have they said that he's not going to close anymore? Because I've lost all confidence in him. I lost it a long time ago, and yet they've continued to throw him out there 9th inning after 9th inning after 9th inning, and occasionally he would come through. So the times he came through, I would sit there and talk to myself. I said, well, Jim, you're wrong. Well, then he'd do another one where you're like, no, Jim, you're right. So I don't know, man. I'm at a loss. Listen, the Braves bullpen, we've been talking about this from the get-go, ever since the very first time we did a show, Andy. That's been the Achilles heel to this team. And it has shown up in multiple times where the starters have gone deep, I guess had quality starts, and then all of a sudden you see this bullpen come in there, and it's just like throwing gasoline on fire. You know, it just all blows up on you. I don't know what the answer is, though. They've got to make some major changes in the bullpen, though.
Well, those changes start with letting Alex Anthopoulos do his job.
He has to.
We've seen him be the best GM in Major League Baseball. We've seen these awesome deals. This is what bothers me as a Braves fan. The Braves have been very unbrave-like this year, and you can blame that on ownership, 100%. Jurickson Profar, Anthopoulos was given a handful of options of moves that he could make. He knew he needed an outfielder that was easily, one of the best guys on the market, best guys available. But you don't know that you're signing a guy that's about to get popped for steroids.
Yeah, nobody would know that.
That's very un-Braves-like. It's very un-Braves-like to treat a legend like you did Craig Kimbrell a week ago, bring him up for an inning when, you know what, you could have kept him around for a little bit. So I've heard 2 different things here. I've heard that him getting that Major League appearance, he got his guaranteed $2 million. And then I also have heard that since it was just one appearance, he got a prorated amount, which was so many $100,000. I don't know the truth to that. I don't know which one that is. The Braves have not disclosed that. Either way, give him 3 appearances to see if he can help your team. You need help in your bullpen. He got out of the inning. If he gets out of every single inning like that from now to the end of the year, I don't care if he's doing it throwing 85.
Right.
So the reason this is very un-Braves-like is because then you look at third base. Do I think Matt Tuiasosopo was the best third base coach we've ever had? Absolutely not. I think he was far from it. But he's a young guy who got an opportunity, who had made a few mistakes, but they use him as a wake-up call to the players, to the coaching staff, to, hey, you better get it together. We're getting rid of Tui. We're sending them back down to the minors. And that's never happened in the Braves organization before. The Braves have always been – I've always kind of looked at them the same way I look at the St. Louis Cardinals. Very well ran. They keep stuff tight to the chest. Things don't leak out because the organization cares about what they're doing. This year has been unlike anything I've ever seen as a Braves fan.
And I'm trying to remember. I don't think the Braves have won a game since they made the change at third base coach. Maybe they've won one. I can't remember. But here's the one thing that you talk about un-Braves-like is their away record. Listen to these numbers. The Colorado Rockies are 6-28 on the road. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 9-22. The next worst record in the National League, the Atlanta Braves, 10-23. You can't be 10-23. You can't be 13 games under 500 on the road.
If we're in the state of California, we can't win a game.
Oh, my gosh.
We've not won a single game between playing the Dodgers, The Padres,
And
the Giants have not won a game in California.
I never thought about that. You're right. But no, the Braves have always been a really good away team, road team. And usually because the Braves pretty much have a nice following on the road no matter where they're at. And boy, this year, I mean, they're 17-14 at home, which is not good, but you're above 500. But they're 10-23 on the road. They're just horrendous.
Yeah, it's rough.
And they're playing Milwaukee, man. Coming up these next 3 games. That's a good team, man.
You want some more bad news for the Atlanta Braves? We knew this was coming, but Braves announced today that A.J. Smith-Shawver underwent Tommy John surgery and will miss the remainder of the 2025 season and will be back at some point in 2026, which you want to talk about what that does to a pitcher. We're watching Spencer Strider go through it right now. A little bit better appearance this last outing for him, better than the one before, no doubt. But it's a rough recovery. Anytime you go under UCL surgery, Tommy John surgery, it's a very tough, long road. And
you think about that. He's not going to be back in April next year. He's going to be back maybe June, maybe July, maybe August. It's different guys heal up differently because once he's able to start throwing, then you got to get yourself back to major league level of pitching, and that's going to even take longer. So he's going to have what they call it, I guess, an extended spring training, and then go from there, go to the probably single A, double A, triple A. And next year, we'll be lucky to see this guy at the end of July.
Yeah, it's a shame. And that's another thing that's kind of un-Braves. Like everyone's kind of talked about how Brian Snitker and the coaching staff has handled certain situations in the dugout during games. And in his situation, it took Spencer Strider. And again, I'm saying this as a guy who's a pro Brian Snitker guy. I like Brian Snitker, and I'm aware that he's going to retire at the end of this season. So you let that guy that won you a World Series, you let him walk on his terms. This is the last year of Brian Snitker. So all of you that are gunning after him, be patient. We're in a spot where I don't know if a lot being changed right now is going to help this year or not. But it took Spencer Strider walking over to Rick Kranitz and Brian Snitker and saying, hey, guys, something's not right. You need to go get him. And kind of drew their attention to the fact that A.J. Smith-Shawver had an issue. But he also waved off the trainer. So there's different ways that you can look at these situations, but it's just been so much chaos and turmoil as far. And then going back, and I know we've put this to bed, but a guy who's supposed to be your franchise best player runs his mouth on social media. That's un-Braves-like. From the get-go, it has been a mess. And when your leadership's doing it, it doesn't help. Now, has he been great since he's came back? Absolutely.
How about Acuna?
Yes. Has he made right by everybody? Yes. Am I over it? Absolutely. But it set things off on a bad foot. I'm not saying he's to blame for all the other problems, but it's just been a crazy year for the Atlanta Braves.
And another number, and these are your notes, by the way. One-run games, the Braves historically over the last, 15, 20 years have been so good at one-run games. 9-19, man. You can't. That's less than 30%. That's less than a 30% winning percentage.
And there's a couple of them where you're going into the ninth inning with a lead. Excuse me.
I mean, you got a 6-run lead the other night. I could not believe what happened on Wednesday night. The things that happened in that game were just ridiculous. The Braves had won 766 consecutive games when up by 9 or more runs entering the ninth inning. The last time they blew a lead like that was 1973 against the New York Mets. And by the way, a really good New York Mets team back then. They won the National League pennant that year when ended up in the World Series. So what they did last Wednesday night, and they've not recovered from that, Andy. They have not recovered from that blown, what should have been a win for sure.
It definitely took the wind out of their sails.
Big time.
Because you can see it on the body language of the guys in crunch time. So very unfortunate situation. We're going to talk more Atlanta Braves when we come back. We just had a whole venting session right there because that was pinned up for me over the weekend. But, hey, listen, if we haven't fired you up about the Atlanta Braves enough, you've got an opportunity to enter to win some Atlanta Braves tickets to go watch this team we've been griping about for our Father's Day contest. You can enter by calling, texting, or even on Facebook. Our text line here and phone line is 423-749-1013. Once again, that's the Volunteer Ridapest phone and text line, 423-749-1013. All you got to do is sign your father up or a father you know to win 4 tickets to see the Braves versus Rockies on Father's Day, June 15th. The winner will be announced Friday at 8 a.m. on Mixed Mornings. And as always, this is sponsored by mine and Jim's favorite, Mayfield Dairy.
And we're not eligible.
We're not. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more Mayfield, more Atlanta Braves baseball, some NBA Finals, and some college baseball as well. We'll be right back here on The Drive.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
ESPN Cleveland 101.3 is powered by Duracell. For a quarter of a century, Mix 104.1 has been taking you out to the ball game.
Swanson to first. The Braves are world champions.
Since 2000, Mix 104.1 has been the home of the Atlanta Braves, and we're celebrating by giving away tickets to Atlanta Braves games all summer long. Listen for your chance to call or text to qualify. You can also register at the Mix socials on Facebook and Instagram. Braves 25 is presented by Cleveland Ford. Honest people, honest deals.
Need a new shop, garage, or other unique space? Explore post-frame building kits from Best Buy Metals. Best Buy Metals kits utilize steel trusses for the ultimate in strength and durability. When you need it to last, call Best Buy Metals. Stop by or visit bestbuymetalroof.com for your custom structure.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, espncleveland1013.com.
Welcome back to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Hey, let me tell you about Mayfield Dairy. When it comes to Mayfield Dairy's ice cream, you'll never have a boring bite. Their limited edition ice creams, cherry chocolate chip, banana pudding, are inspired by traditional Southern recipes and seasonal favorites. Pick some up today at your local grocery store. Visit them online at mayfielddairy.com. Of course, Jim, Mayfield Dairy, one of our favorites, and The Drive's favorite, as they sponsor all of our Atlanta Braves coverage here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
Yeah, Mayfield is awesome, man. I've got a big old tub of strawberry ice cream at my house that probably will take a hit tonight.
Listen, depending on how the Braves do tonight, I might be – maybe some of our listeners need to go buy some stock in Mayfield Dairy because – listen, I'm going to stress eat some ice cream if they keep up what they're doing.
You drown your sorrows in Mayfield instead of alcohol, right?
That's it, a good old tub of ice cream to feed the soul. Man, I tell you what, this team's been so frustrating here recently. And when Jake was on the show with us last before he disappeared, Lord knows where he is, what he's doing. He even said, like, this is kind of weird to hear you, Andy, talking like this because you're always so optimistic about the Braves and the organization. And it is what it is. We're at that point now to where everybody should be worried.
Okay, I got to say something, and I don't know if I know we talk about Snitker, and he's probably going to retire at the end of the year. That's all the talk I've been hearing too. I had somebody ask me this yesterday, and I was like, They said, what about Chipper Jones becoming the manager of the Atlanta Braves? And I thought, I would love it because this guy hates to lose, and this guy knows the different things it takes to win. And I don't think that would be a bad choice at all. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard some rumblings of Chipper Jones, and listen, the guy knows ball. He's one of the few that not only was he a great player, but he can break stuff down and teach.
Yeah.
He's not just a face. He can teach the game. He can coach the game. So as much as I would love that, what I wouldn't like about it is, I was a Chipper Jones kid growing up. I love Chipper Jones. And a lot of us wore number 10 because we wanted to be like Chipper Jones. What I would not be able to tolerate is when things weren't going good, all the people bashing Snit and all the people that used to bash Bobby Cox and the way he'd handle pitching, I would get so frustrated having to hear a legend like Chipper Jones, like Joe Schmo sitting in his recliner knows more than Chipper Jones. That would drive me crazy. So realistic options, I feel like Mark DeRosa, who's managed Team USA, going to be doing that again coming up here in the World Baseball Classic, and Walt Weiss, who's a former Atlanta Brave, former manager for the Rockies, and is currently the bench coach for the Braves. So I think there's some good options from within the organization, without a doubt, and it sounds like Chipper could be one of those options.
And the thing about a manager, and it doesn't matter, manager, coach, everyone's hired to be fired at some point. And very, very few managers, very few coaches leave on their own, if you will. Most people that are in managerial positions, either coaching or managing, at some point will get fired. And you would hate the thought of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Atlanta Brave only, no, because Hank Aaron played with Milwaukee as well. A guy that played his entire career with the Atlanta Braves. No other. You never saw him wearing another hat for another team. To ever think of him getting fired, that would be hard for any Atlanta Braves fan to stomach.
So you can speak on this as a Reds fan. Pete Rose.
Or Johnny Bench would be a better example.
Yeah, okay, yeah, he would be.
He never played for another team.
He would be. So in that scenario, like how would you handle that?
Oh, if Johnny Bench was ever the manager of the Cincinnati Reds, and they ended up firing him, it would kill me, because he is.
It ruins a relationship.
It really does. He is the Cincinnati Reds in my book. He's more of the Cincinnati Reds than Pete Rose, because Pete Rose wore a Phillies uniform. He wore his Expos uniform. But Johnny Bench was a Cincinnati Red from the very first time he ever played minor league baseball to the Johnny Bench night when he actually hit a home run on Johnny Bench night. He's only been a Cincinnati Red, so that would not be. I would not want that. So I get that, because Chipper Jones was, to me, like I said, he's the greatest Atlanta Brave of all time. Pure Atlanta.
I think he's one of the greatest switch hitters of all time, and probably the last great switch hitter. Don't see as many guys being able to succeed nowadays with all the arms and all the pitching that's out there. And we see it firsthand with Ozzie Albies struggling as a switch hitter.
Ellie De La Cruz, a lot of people want him to just go lefty instead of switching to the right side. So we'll see.
And listen, one name we didn't even bring up in that conversation of, listen, this is a premature conversation because, as you said, Jim, we don't know officially or when Snit is going to be done, when he's going to retire. And I hope, for the sake of the Braves' way, he's not fired in the middle of a year. Listen, I want to talk to my Tennessee fan friends right now. Philip Former, big Philip Former fan. I always liked him. The way he was treated on the way out was terrible. You should never fire a national championship winning coach the way that things went down in Tennessee. And I know there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions on that. But you don't treat the guys that have got you to the mountaintop that way. You have a conversation with them behind closed doors that doesn't get out. That's the Braves' way. And you say, Snit, listen, at the end of the year, we need you to make an announcement. You're going to retire, okay? Are you on board with that? And I think that's coming. But one name that we hadn't even said that I think would also be great is Ron Washington.
Yeah, Ron Washington, of course, he was a great coach with the Braves. He's currently with the Anaheim Angels, and he's done a really good job there with the Angels. I mean, they're not disastrous like they've been in the past. So let's see where they are sitting right now. I mean, the Angels. I mean, they're not that great, but I mean, they're 30-34. Their record's a heck of a lot better than the Braves, but they're still in fourth place in the American League West. But they're only 5.5 games out of first,
and they're doing it with a whole lot less.
Oh, a lot less. Yeah, I mean, listen, no, you don't have. They don't have the roster that the Braves have had, especially over the last few years. Now, this year, I can't sit here and say what the roster is like right now. I've not watched many Angels games. But I can't imagine being any better than the Braves roster.
Now, Ron Washington is 74 years old. That's another factor.
Yeah,
but listen, I'd take 4 or 5 good years out of Ron Wash. That guy's young at heart.
What's so funny about the Angels, just looking at this, we're talking about the Braves' road record and how woeful it is. The Angels are 18-18 on the road. They just can't win at home. They're 12-16 at home. They're 4 games under 500 at home, which is the complete opposite of what you want to do. But no, I think that would be a good option, but the age thing does bother me. But I think Walt Weiss, that's who I would want if it wasn't going to be someone like a Chipper Jones. I like Walt Weiss. I think this guy, he's gritty. Listen, he never had the most talent. He won an American League Rookie of the Year, and he wasn't even close to being the most talented. But, man, this guy worked his butt off. And I think he can relate to the lesser talented guys and the superstars like the Acuñas out there. So I think he could handle both the levels of the talent.
Yeah, Ron Wash is one of those guys. He doesn't take anything. He's not going to take anything off anybody. He's going to tell you what he thinks, too. So I think you can't go wrong with any of those guys we mentioned from within the organization. Now, I know Mark DeRosa currently not with the organization, but he's a Braves guy. He came up in Atlanta Brave, is tight with all those guys. Brian McCann, I don't know, where he stands.
Talk about a fiery guy.
I don't know where he stands as maybe wanting to manage one day. I think he would be a great personality fit.
I've always thought catchers made good managers because they're in on every pitch. They know the pitching staff. They know how to hit. They know. I think a catcher is, first off, the toughest guy on the field in a baseball game, without question, is the guy behind the plate. You talk about getting beat up. Catchers, man, when the season's done, they're black and blue, man, and they're never healthy. Once end of April, every catcher out there hobbling around and they're beat up, man. But I love that. I think that would be a good option as well.
So let's get to the facts and details of what's going on with the Braves before we move on. Of course, last night they were swept out of the Bay Area after losing to the Giants 4-3. Spencer Strider now 0-5 on the year with a 5.4 ERA. He did look a lot better overall. And despite having a rough fourth inning, really, I like the progression that I saw from Spencer Strider, and I think he's going to continue to improve, so no reason to hit the panic button on Spencer Strider right now. Of course, giving up those 3 runs in the fourth inning was a little shaky, but outside of that, 6 innings, 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts, and the velocity started to get up a couple miles an hour more than from the previous times we've seen him. So I take that as a win in as far as the, not a win for the Braves because we're not doing that right now, but a win for Spencer Strider's progress.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, he's looking better. You're still not getting the results. Of course, that's coming off that just heartbreaking loss on Saturday, the 2-run homer in the bottom of the ninth, another walk-off loss for the Atlanta Braves. This team – Andy, they're snake bit right now.
They are.
That's a snake bit team, and boy, the Braves haven't looked like this in a long, long time. And I have my doubts, and I hate to say that, but I do have my doubts that this team can get it turned around to make the postseason. Can they turn it around and be more competitive than they have? Absolutely, they can do that. I just don't know if they can overcome 10 games under 500.
I'm telling you, having to go on a 10-game winning streak to get to 500
I know.
Just sounds rough. Currently 27-37, fourth in the National League East, 14 games back of the also stumbling Philadelphia Phillies right now. They're not playing great baseball at the moment.
Yeah, the Braves have actually gained a game on them in the last 10 weeks.
That's
10
terrible.
days.
That's embarrassing is what that is. Braves back in action in Milwaukee for game 1 of the series tonight with the Brew Crew, who are 35-31. They're third in the NL Central, only 5.5 games back. So you're playing a team who's in the mix. You're going to get tested. You're on the road. Things haven't been good on the road. better get with it. Not a better guy to be on the mound than Chris L., who's 3-4 with a 2.93 ERA, and first pitch 7:40 p.m. right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3 and Mix 104.1, presented by Mountain View Nissan of Cleveland. So let's go ahead and put a bow on the Braves for the day, because I'm starting to sweat and ball my fist up over here.
Yeah, because now we got the College World Series, sticking with baseball, but going at the collegiate level. We've got 7 of the 8 teams that are going to Omaha are already set. The last one will be the winner between Murray State and Duke. That game's going to be played tonight. So you've got Louisville versus Oregon State, Arizona versus Coastal Carolina. That's the left side of the bracket. No SEC teams on that side. On the right side, UCLA will play the winner of Murray State and Duke, and then LSU and Arkansas. Wow, that's a great matchup there. Actually going to be going on in Omaha. Of course, the College World Series starts next week, not this coming week, I should say, this coming weekend. So excited to see what's going to happen there. I love it. A lot of teams we didn't expect. We only got 5 of the 16 seeded teams are still alive.
Well, I know for a fact that my picks were off. I was nowhere close this year.
Gosh.
I was a lot closer last year than I was this year. So, unfortunately, all of our Tennessee fans out there and those of you that might not know what's been going on, the Base Vols got swept in 2 games. Up there in the Fayetteville Super Regional last night, Game 2, they lost to Arkansas 11-4. Really, Tennessee's bats just went cold in that game, and Liam Doyle, questionable here. We talked about this before we went on air, but Liam Doyle, starting pitcher, was pulled after 3 2/3, and that kind of set a stage for Arkansas to just offensively go off. Logan Maxwell had 3 hits in the game for the Razorbacks and a grand slam. And after that grand slam, you kind of just knew.
Well, when he hit that after Liam Doyle was pulled, Logan Maxwell hit that grand slam, and you're like, oh gosh, did Vitella make a mistake? Well, no, listen, hindsight's 20/20. Okay, Liam Doyle did not look like himself.
He didn't have his best stuff.
He didn't look like himself, but I don't think he would have given up the grand slam. But maybe he would have. Who knows? It doesn't matter. The Vols weren't going to win this game, and they were not going to win this series. Arkansas is just a little bit better than Tennessee this year, and it is what it is. So, listen, I think Arkansas is probably the best team that's still alive that's going to be playing the College World Series. You got the 3-seed Arkansas still alive, 6-seed LSU, 8-seed Oregon State. By the way, Oregon State put it to Florida State yesterday. Coastal Carolina was a 13-seed, and number 15-seed UCLA. They're still alive, too. So you got 5 of the 16 seeded teams are still alive. Murray State and Duke, obviously neither one of them are seeded. Louisville is not seeded. And Arizona, by the way, man, I'm really impressed with this Arizona team. They've got some clutch hitting, and they've got some really good pitching. They look really good against North Carolina. I watched quite a bit of that Arizona-North Carolina game. Very impressed with the Wildcats.
Do you see the collision at first base? So this is something we talked about, how the NCAA has went to having that softball style. Softball style. I'm having trouble with this nasal stuff today, man. I'm so sorry. But where they have the 2 first base bags beside each other.
Yeah, one in foul territory, the one in fair territory.
And it was to help prevent collisions. Well, the throw from the Arizona shortstop took them right into that one in foul territory. I believe it was it wasn't Arizona, right? It was.
I don't know which one. I obviously didn't see this play you're about to describe.
So what ended up happening, I believe it was the North Carolina. I think I've got this backwards. The North Carolina shortstop made a throw to first to his first baseman, and the Arizona runner in foul territory running to that bag caught a baseball in glove straight to the jaw and put him on his back for a few minutes. And I'm sitting here, I've heard a lot of takes on having that bag there. And we've been playing baseball for 150 some odd years, and we've not had that. The NCAA is trying to do too much. Listen, this postseason, has been so much fun. There's been so much going on, but you see some of the most insane antics. People cussing each other out from the mound to dugouts, and nothing's being done. And yet someone forgets to take a construction worker hat off and takes a step onto the turf and gets ejected. Yeah. So the NCAA's got to get it together when it comes to college baseball, because they're all over the place. They're inconsistent, and then they start changing things that have been part of baseball forever.
Andy, you're going to hear this term coming out of me, especially when football season rolls around. I call it the sissification of sports. Say what you want. I'm sorry. Some things are just not meant to be changed. Football is a brutal sport. Football is not a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. Okay? There's a big difference. And you can't make it to where, oh, gosh, he hit him too hard. We understand dirty football as opposed to a good, clean, hard hit. You should not be penalized for a good, clean, hard hit. And yet that's what you see in college football. And I know what you're saying as far as the bag there in foul territory. Come on.
I know. I look at it and I just can't help but just like shrug my shoulders and laugh about
softball.
it.
That's a softball thing.
It is. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with softball doing that. That's their own thing. They do it for their own reasons. They're also playing on an infield that's a lot shorter, that there's a lot going on in a quick amount of time. A baseball diamond, you're spread out a little bit more. You've got some time, and usually those are some bang plays over there at first to where the shortstop, the third baseman, has to field the ball, make the throw over. We've already taken out the second base breaking up plays, sliding into guys, which was one of my favorite things about base running.
Yeah,
and we've already sissified that, as you said.
I'm sorry, it's true.
It is.
I mean, listen. Listen. In baseball, you got guys at shortstop and third base that they can hum that ball across the diamond at 90+ miles an hour. They can, and you know what? Sometimes it gets away, and sometimes it might make a little contact with the runner. Unintentional, obviously. You're not doing it on purpose, but it's a sport where things are going to happen. You're going to have an occasional contact at first base. It's rare. It doesn't happen all the time. It happens every now and then. But, man, we don't need to be changing the rules because of an incident that happens every so often. I don't like it. I don't like the way they've changed sport. I don't like the smaller bags that they put in baseball. The bag itself, the dimensions are a little bit bigger now. Why? They weren't messed up.
They were trying to encourage stealing and base running things, which I understand that more so than I do we're looking at potentially having an automated strike zone in Major League Baseball next year.
We're going to, Andy.
It's crazy.
We're going to. Listen, Ricky Henderson stole 130 bases on the smaller bases. You know what? Maybe just be better at what you do.
Yeah.
Just be a better base stealer. Read the pitchers better. Get better jumps. I don't know, man. I look at some of these rules, and of course, the home runs. They talk about the live ball one year, a dead ball the next year. It changes, and people can sit there and say, oh, no, the baseball's consistent. No, they're not. No, they test them, and they'll see that this ball is a little bit got more spring to it. Hello, that means a few more home runs. And let's be honest, Andy, they've shortened a lot of fences in some of these ballparks to make the home run. Listen, what they say, chicks dig the long ball. That's what they're bringing in fences, making the ball livelier. It makes it more difficult to be a pitcher at times. But I don't know, man. Some of these rule changes, I sit there going, it's not broke. There's no sense in doing this because it's not. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But, man, they feel the need to fix it. It's like the base runner starting at second base in extra innings. That drives me crazy.
Hey, so I saw something that was really neat in regards to that. So there was a game where Pedro Martinez carried a perfect game into the ninth inning. And he was then taken out of the game, but it didn't qualify as a perfect game because it was a tied game.
Yeah, right.
And didn't get the win. They ended up losing the game. But can you imagine a situation where a Pedro Martinez has got a perfect game and takes the mound in the 10th inning to try to get out of that, and there's a base runner on second base? I
never thought about that. But would that spoil the perfect game? I guess there's someone on base. Well, he didn't allow him on, no.
Yeah, so that runner was placed there, but if you end up that run scores somehow, even if it's not a perfect, if it's
no hitter,
if you maintain a no hitter and you walk a few guys and walk that run in and the game's over, you don't get credit.
There have been no hitters, by the way, where you allowed a run. That has happened in Major League Baseball history. A no hitter.
So he'd get the no hitter.
You allowed a walk. Maybe there's an error thrown there, another error, and the guy scores an unearned run. You throw a no hitter, but you allow a run. I don't know if you know this, but Harvey Haddix, 1959 with the Pittsburgh Pirates against the Milwaukee Braves, threw a 13-inning perfect game, allowed a hit, lost the game.
That's insane.
And he didn't get credit for a no-hitter or a perfect game.
That's wild.
13 innings.
Yeah, I'd be a little frustrated with my teammates.
Yeah,
there.
me too. I'm like, come on. Of course, now back then, pitchers hit, so he was part of that ineptitude on that.
Didn't help his own cause.
Didn't help his own cause, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, so going back to the College World Series, listen, my picks have been terrible. I was really high on Vanderbilt, of course, Florida State, and really Tennessee, listen, they just ran into a good Arkansas team, all there is to it. But those were kind of my three that I thought, hey, they could come through and win this thing. But looking at what's left in the field, I feel like Arkansas obviously is dangerous.
I think they're the best team out there.
I think Oregon State is dangerous as well. I watched a lot of that series with Florida State. Florida State just got too far behind the 8 ball last night, allowing too many runs early. But, man, Oregon State, that's a team they've been resilient, having to be in that what is now no longer the Pac-12, but they had to play a lot of road games just to fill the schedule. And this is a team that kind of is playing with a chip on their shoulder. So Oregon State, definitely keeping my eye on that team because they're fired up.
You know what's so funny? You just mentioned the Pac-12. 3 of the teams that are in there were in the Pac-12 last year. UCLA,
yes.
Arizona, Oregon State. God, that was such a good conference. Such a good conference.
Baseball specifically, it was. When you think high school baseball, California, there's a lot of good high school baseball in California, and a lot of them stay home.
Yep. There are 2 programs in the entire country that have won over 100 national championships, team national championships. One's UCLA. 3. One's UCLA, one's USC, and one's Stanford. 3 from the Pac-12. Now 2 of those are in the Big Ten, and one's in the ACC, if you can believe that Stanford's in the ACC. But that conference, they call it, the old moniker was conference champions. That's where it came from, because when you put the Pac-12 against the SEC, the Big Ten, ACC, that Pac-12 had like triple the number of national championships as opposed to the closest, which was the SEC.
In all fairness, that was taken into account some gymnastics,
water polo,
some water polo.
It
Yes,
counts. It
yes.
counts. We get it.
Yeah,
but it still counts. Ask those water polo national champions if theirs is less than the football. Not to them, they're like, mine's just as important.
Well,
according to the players.
Listen, this is something that comes up around every 4th of July. How many Super Bowls has England won? I rest my case. Hey, you're listening to The Drive right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. We'll be right back.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's the Trade-In Man.
This is John Davis at Kia Cleveland announcing our summer blockbuster blowout. You don't need to be a hero to pay zero. Zero down. Zero payments this summer. Plus, I need your trade, and I need it today. And I'm willing to overpay. Don't let the credit villains keep you from driving your dream car. At Kia Cleveland, getting approved is a possible mission. Our lenders will say yes to you and yes to your situation. Remember, I'll beat any deal from anywhere in Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama. Come see me, John Davis, your hero in the car business, at Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee, where getting the best deal is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Looking for the dealer who's gonna give you more. Kia of Cleveland Superstore.
Example 25K4LX. 0 down, $349 per month for 72 months at 4.9% APR. Negative trade equity may be refinanced, subject to lender approval. Offers don't combine. Expires month end.
KiaofCleveland.com.
What if a friend or a loved one was thinking about suicide? What would you say? What would you do? The Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network provides support. TSPN teaches how to spot warning signs of suicide, and we teach you how to do something. Go to tnprevention.org to learn how you can help with suicide prevention efforts. That's tnprevention.org, a public service announcement of the Tennessee Suicide Prevention Network and this station.
Cleveland Tire Center for over 45 years with the best name in tires: Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and Michelin. North Lee Highway, Cleveland. Cleveland Tire Center, where the name says it all.
Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Visit milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, it makes sense to choose an insurance agent that's a part of your community. Your local Allstate agent knows the ins and outs of both owning and protecting a home in your neighborhood. By choosing a local Allstate agent, you get an expert who knows the community and is committed to getting to know you. Which means George Gray can help you get the protection you want that fits you and your life. Are you in good hands? Contact George Gray, Allstate Insurance today for a free quote.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Hope everyone out there is having a good Monday. Hey, sign your father or father you know to win 4 tickets to see the Braves versus the Rockies this Father's Day on June 15th. The winner will be announced Friday at 8 a.m. on Mixed Mornings. Text 423-749-1013. That's 423-749-1013. And include your name and that this is the Father's Day contest. So hopefully somebody out there that's listening to our show right now will win those 4 tickets to see the Braves versus Rockies. Listen, the Braves are going to win this game against the Rockies. You know why? Because they're the Rockies, for crying out loud. So you wanted to give your dad a good day and probably going to see a win. So enter that contest.
Don't say that. Don't get me excited.
Come on, Andy.
Don't give me false hope.
I'm giving you false hope, so I can't help it.
Hey, before we talk about the NBA Finals, Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers have reached a deal for 1 year, $13.65 million. $10 million of that is guaranteed, and it can be as high as $19.5 million. And I believe that's with a Super Bowl win that he can get that. But we kind of figured that move was coming from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we'd heard rumors of it, and a lot of people were wondering what was the holdup. Well, Aaron Rodgers just wasn't ready to make the move. Some people think that that the Steelers allowed him to play them. Whatever. So he's pretty good. He's still got a little bit left in the tank. I don't know if an Aaron Rodgers at this age is where he ranks in the NFL. I would say he's probably middle of the road. He's probably the 3rd best quarterback in that division because I would say Joe Burrow and for the Ravens. My mind just went blank.
Mine and yours both at Louisville.
Yeah, I mean,
Heisman Trophy winner. What's wrong with us?
I've got a reason. I'm a lot older than you.
He's number 8. I can see him in his uniform. Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Good grief. That was bad.
But he's the 3rd best quarterback in that division. Will he be better than what they had last year? I don't know.
Is he going to be
Russell
better?
Wilson was okay.
Is he going to be better than Shedeur Sanders or Joe Flacco or Dylan Gabriel?
Probably.
Yes, I'm going to answer that question. Yes.
I mean, I would assume so, but I mean, I've seen guys that have fallen off a cliff before.
Yeah.
And he looked okay at times with the Jets last year. Okay. There were other times he didn't look so good, and other times he looked great. But for the most part, he was a little bit better than average. But he's got another year under him. He's got a new squad. He's going to have to learn a new everything with the Steelers. So we'll see. The Steelers, obviously, do they have their quarterback of the future on their roster? I don't know if Will Howard's the quarterback of the future. I'm sure they would like to have an Arch Manning if at all possible. But to get Arch Manning, you got to tank. And apparently they don't want to tank because they got Aaron Rodgers. So let's just see how it all plays out. The Steelers haven't had a losing season ever under Mike Tomlin. I'm going to make a bold prediction, Andy. They're going to be under 500 in 2025. I don't think the Steelers can have a winning record. I think that they've got a tough schedule as it is, and you've got an older guy leading your team. I think it's a recipe for maybe a 7-10 record, maybe a 6-11 record. I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, I get why they did it, but it's just a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid for the Steelers for right now.
No, I think it is. I feel like the deal itself isn't a bad deal because there are a lot of quarterbacks getting paid a lot more in the NFL, and that still gives the Steelers some flexibility to make some moves and be a competitor. And I think that's the only reason you bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, because you want to be a competitor immediately, or else you don't take a chance on a guy that's, as you said, of his age and at this point in his career. You're trying to strike gold this year if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. So kind of figured that move was coming, but definitely wanted to throw it out there. And getting excited for the NFL as we're, just a few weeks away when you think about it. It's crazy.
July rolls around, you got camps starting to open up. So, the NBA Finals may. Andy, explain to me why there's such a big gap between games. It's ridiculous. But, Indiana, they stole game one. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Oklahoma City had that game won. They choked it away, and Indiana wins game one. But, man, last night it was a complete one-sided game. I'm not so sure that Indiana's got another win left in them. But they are going home, okay? So you got the home crowd that's going to be on your side, and, they're in their environment there in Indiana. But this looks like a one-sided affair when it looks at the roster. I just see so much more talent on this Oklahoma City team than I do Indiana.
Yeah, and I think that game one win by the Pacers, an epic comeback, unbelievable comeback. And in that scenario, being down 9+ points with 3 minutes to go in NBA Finals history, teams are one win, and that being the Indiana Pacers that night, and 182. So it's nothing like that's ever happened before.
Yeah.
And it was crazy to watch, to witness, and see it unfold the way it did. But at the same time, I think what that did was kind of poke the bear a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I think OKC said, all right, enough of that. That's not going to happen again. Now we're going for the throat.
Yeah, I think that Oklahoma City, I really like the makeup of this team. They've got their starting five are just, to me, really, really good all across. There's not a weak link there. And they've got some pretty decent guys coming in off the bench, too. So it's a really solid team. The one thing you wonder can they keep these guys together for a few years? Because if they can, I think this team could compete for multiple NBA titles. I think they're that good. Obviously, health is always an issue. You never know if somebody's going to get hurt and miss the rest of the season or miss a bulk of the season. But if they keep this core these core guys together, I see this Oklahoma City team being the team to beat in the Western Conference for years to come. Now, personally, I still think Boston and Cleveland are the two best teams in the East, but they got beat fair and square by Indiana. But Oklahoma City looks like they're head and shoulders better than anyone else, especially in the Western Conference and really in the entire NBA.
So one thing that I do want to point out about SGA, the MVP of the league, plays for OKC. Did you know that he played at Hamilton Heights?
I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Yeah, he played at.
Yes,
I had no clue. That's how oblivious I am.
We mentioned it on the air.
Was it when I was here?
Yeah, Thursday or Friday.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't think I was here then.
Right, you weren't here. Yeah, but he went to Hamilton Heights. Sure did.
Yeah, that was brought to my attention.
I was being sarcastic. I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, I had no clue.
Yeah.
I had no clue until over the weekend.
He's from Canada.
Yes, I did know that.
He came down here to play prep basketball and played a couple years at Hamilton Heights. And in fact, I saw a nice interview with the Hamilton Heights coach on television. I guess it was over the weekend. And, he talked about nobody was a harder worker than he was. He goes, first guy, he outworked anyone, and he was the most talented guy. But that's how you become a great player. You always hear this term, gym rat. You always get this mindset in your head, oh, he's a gym rat. Some 5'10" white kid, right? He's the opposite of that. He's a gym rat, but he's got tremendous athletic ability, but he outworks everyone. And he's NBA MVP, probably going to win a ring. And so, my hat's off to him, man. Good for him.
Yeah, next game, as you alluded to, we got a long break here Wednesday.
It's crazy.
In Indiana at 8:30. You'll be able to catch that game right here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. So we're going to continue to keep up with the NBA Finals. And listen, I'm on board. I think OKC is about to run away with this thing.
Yeah, I think that like I said, I think that was poking the bear, like you said, is a great analogy of what happened in Game 1 when Oklahoma City all but had the game won. The Pacers, credit to them, made a tremendous comeback. Halliburton hits that shot with 0.3 left on the clock to win Game 1. And, but yesterday it was all OKC.
Hey, Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians starting at $22 an hour to $27 an hour. Excellent benefits beginning on day one. Medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. Man, I had to fight through that one, Jim.
I know, because I've been doing that one for a long, long time. We need to split it up a little bit more. You know, it's so funny because Duracell's right across the street from us. I know for a fact out there that's a really good place to work. I've got some friends that work out there. They have great they got a lot of good things they give their employees. They pay them well, and they treat them well. So that's a good place to work.
Yeah, a couple of things I do want to get in here for us today on the drive is Walker Valley Softball's Ryan Presswood was named the Tennessee Coaches Association Class 4A East Division Miss Softball. So congratulations to Ryan Presswood. Boogs, as they call her, had a phenomenal season pitching for the Mustangs and leading them to that state championship.
Yeah, state championship, man. You know what? We talked about this when they did this. They'll take this with them forever. And 20 years from now, they'll have a reunion and they'll all get together. They'll all have those memories for the rest of their lives. So congratulations to her and that entire softball program. They're knocking it out of the park. You like that pun?
I do. Listen, so since you just brought us back to baseball, I want to talk some Braves silver linings real quick because we need something positive going on.
Sure.
Got to have something. Nacho Alvarez is set to begin a rehab stint in Florida. So Nacho Alvarez, a guy who we saw last year as a rookie, get some playing time in the infield. Really a utility infield guy, can play short, second, third, wherever you need him. Seeing him healthy, getting back on the diamond is a silver lining. And then also, this is a reach for a silver lining here, but the team that just swept us is the hottest team in baseball right now. San Francisco Giants playing really good baseball.
They are.
They've won 5 in a row, and it's you look at their last 15, 20 games, they're a team that they're starting to peak at the right time. So if you want to say, well, we got swept by the Giants, that's a good team that we just got swept by. So that's a silver lining.
Yeah, Oracle Park, by the way. I love Oracle Park there. McCovey Cove out there. I think the Giants have to me, one of the 2 or 3 best ballparks in Major League Baseball. I guess PNC in Pittsburgh is still my favorite. I would put Oracle Park there in San Francisco right behind them. But the Giants are a team that they've been one of these teams where they've been really, really hot. They've been really, really cold, and they're really, really hot again. So this team's been a little bit on a roller coaster, but they've righted the ship, and they are playing really good. So it's a good baseball team out there. And, it's so funny, Mike Yastrzemski, I don't know, I love that guy. He's my favorite Giant. I know he's not their best player, but I root hard for this kid. I guess I really liked his I think it was his grandfather, Carl Yastrzemski, when he played for the Boston Red Sox. But I love Mike Yastrzemski. He's just a hard-nosed player. I like guys like that.
It's a lot easier to just call him Yaz. I figured that out.
Yeah, for sure.
His grandfather dubbed that name and is an iconic Boston Red Sox player, really probably one of the most iconic in all of baseball. And that's one thing that I've always thought it was so cool to see Ken Griffey Jr. wearing a Reds uniform like his dad did.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought it was cool to see those kind of things. At some point, I would love to see the younger Yaz be a Boston Red Sox. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'll tell you what, Carl Yastrzemski, when he came up for the Red Sox, he had the inevitable, the toughest job replacing Ted Williams out in left field in Fenway Park. You talk about pressure. I mean, that's, it'd be like following Michael Jordan, or whoever followed him with the Chicago Bulls. To try to follow a legend in left field in Boston, or Mickey Mantle in center field for the New York Yankees. Some of those positions, or the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds who followed Johnny Bench. There are some iconic players that, man, that's hard, big shoes to follow. But Carl Yastrzemski, what a great player he was all those years with Boston. And like I said, Mike Yastrzemski, he's just a real hard-nosed player with the Giants. I always root for that guy.
So this is something that I thought was pretty neat as we go into a little bit of overtime here at 6:02. Currently, you're listening to The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Pete Bavacca, athletic director at Notre Dame, and Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, have a scheduled golf outing. Do you know who that golf outing is scheduled with?
I think with Trump, is it?
President Donald Trump. And it is to discuss the current state of college football. So there's so much going on in the college football world, and this is Jim Gumb's world, by the way, when it comes to college football.
Oh, I thought you were talking about playing golf.
Maybe that too. But when it comes to talking college football, if you want some answers, you want a great perspective, Jim Gumb's your guy. But I feel like we've kind of seen this before. We've seen Rob Manfred go out of his way to spend some time with President Trump. We've seen Commissioner Roger Goodell do the same thing. I'm curious, what, as far as a legislative action, or as far as like I think the NCAA is at a point to where they're willing to take help from wherever and whoever they can get it from. Do you see anything big coming from this?
I don't know. I mean, I know today there was a Zoom call with all the major conference commissioners, and from what I was able to read, not a whole lot was accomplished through that as well. Listen, Donald Trump, I think he wants what's good for the majority. Listen, you gotta hope whatever is done, that the Mid-America Conference, the Sun Belt Conference, Conference USA, that those leagues are still viable and they can compete at the highest level. We all know none of those schools are ever going to win a national championship, but they need to be part of the bigger pie, if you will. We all know the SEC and the Big Ten are running the things these days, but you cannot just kick the ACC, the Big 12, the American Athletic Conference, the Sun Belt. You can't kick to the curb. You got to have those teams. So whatever's done, I hope it's for the good of all of college football and not for the biggest brands out there.
So later on in the week, we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth about the transfer portal and everything that's going on, not only within college football, but high school football. Very hot topic here in our community right now is the possibility of a transfer portal, which is not in effect yet. For those that might be confused, it is not in effect yet. So it's important that parents, athletes, coaches are all aware of this, and you don't want to find yourself in a difficult situation to where maybe you're making a move and you shouldn't, or really anything in that regard that could jeopardize your team's success. And it's a hot topic right now. There's a lot going on with it.
Yeah, we've seen people transfer. Obviously, Boo Carter transferred to Bradley. We saw quarterbacks transferring from one local school to another. We've seen that stuff, but there's stipulations behind it, and you got to prove this stuff. I mean, you can say a lot of things to make it sound like the truth. Are they stretching the truth? That's the big thing. How ethical will it be, or how unethical will it be? We all know these coaches, bottom line is W's and L's, man. And if we can get this kid over on our team, my chances to get a W just increased a lot. And we know there's going to be some stuff. We know before it all happens, there's going to be some dirty stuff going on. That's inevitable. It's sports. People want to get an edge. How can I skate, along this jagged edge, if you will?
Well, so my perspective on this is, especially here locally, I don't think it's as much the coaches as it is parents.
That's true, too.
Parents and the athletes, for numerous different reasons, wanting to make a move, be it for playing time, be it to be on a better team, whatever it may be. I think that and I'm saying this as a parent of a son who's playing high school sports right now, and of two daughters who are going to be playing high school sports at some point. As a parent, we have to take some accountability to make sure we're doing things for our children for the right reasons. And you talk about some shady things that could happen, and for the betterment of a team. That goes on at every single level of sport. I've seen it in rec baseball, trying to make sure you draft the best team so you go undefeated. Who cares? Who cares?
I know.
Now, this is a little bit different ballgame when you're talking high school athletics. When you're talking about winning state championships, it's a bigger deal. So I feel like a lot of that lies on the parents and being well educated. This is my issue with it right now. Right now, we don't know what's okay and what's not okay. There's a lot of confusion about
gray area.
Yeah, there's a lot, and there needs to be some clarity. I think once that clarity is presented to everybody, to coaches, so they can then pass it on to the parents, then the parents can ultimately make the decision of what's best for their athletes.
Andy, here's the big question that I have for you, and I think I know what you're going to say. I think I know what your answer. Do you think it'll be proactive or reactive when all's said and done? I think it will end up being reactive. Something will happen after the season has started, after the school year has started, and they'll say, oh, we need to change the rule. They don't. Why they do this beyond me. They need to be proactive, set the rules in place, and make them strict. And there's no gray area. Hey, and if you don't like it this year, maybe we can change it up next year. But for this year, this is the rule. But what you'll end up seeing, something will happen in the middle of the season, and then they'll make a reactive rule. It happens all the time in the state of Tennessee.
It does.
I don't know what it is about this state. We're the most reactive state in high school sports of any state I know. Well, of course, I live here. I don't know what's going on in Wisconsin, but I know here we're always doing stuff like that.
And in terms, trying to be fair to TSSAA right now, they had to wait on some legislation, wait on some votes to understand what was going to be allowed within the state anyway, because they got to follow those guidelines.
Sure.
So there has got to be a point of clarity for everybody, for the athlete, for the coaches, for the parents.
Right.
And the most important player in all of that, I say this as a coach, I say it as a parent, and I say it as a former athlete, the most important person in this whole machine is the parent. The parent, it's up to you to decide what's best for your kid and to ethically try to do things the right way. So that might mean you go approach your coach and say, hey, this is our issue. This is the problem. What are we allowed to do? Are we able to work together to work things out?
Yep.
There's so many.
Communication is key.
Yes, there's so many different situations, because the last thing I want to see is a basketball player, a football player, a wrestler go somewhere thinking that it's okay and then become ineligible.
I get you. Yeah.
And the last thing I want to see is a team get a athlete thinking that they're eligible. We saw this from several schools in our area this year in different sports,
yep,
where they get an athlete and they believe everything's okay. They believe everything's on the up and up because the information they were presented from the parent, and then it wasn't.
You're talking about someone coming from Oklahoma to here?
And other scenarios.
Yeah.
So the issue lies primarily with the parents. Do right by your children and do right by sport.
Absolutely. And listen, at the end of the day, sports is supposed to be fun. It shouldn't be so where you're miserable and you're causing issues. At the end of the day, that's why we have sports. It's for fun. And boy, we've made sometimes we've made it not so fun.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, hey, listen, at 6:10, a little bit of overtime today. Always fun to do that. We'll talk more about the transfer portal. We'll talk more college football this week, and hopefully, we're talking some positive news coming out of Atlanta with the Bravos getting started with their series up in Milwaukee tonight. So, Jim, anything you want to leave us with today?
No, I'm just excited about the ball game tonight. See if the Braves can finally get off the schneid. Is that a word?
Listen, whatever it is, they need to figure it out.
All right, man.
Hey, listen, you've been listening to The Drive. We're glad to have all of you guys streaming on Facebook and YouTube TV, mixtv.tv, and, of course, on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. For Jim Gum, I'm Andy Morris. Have a great day.
It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don Ledford Chevrolet Buick GMC, located on North Lee Highway in Cleveland. Or visit donledford.com for details. Don Ledford, where we say yes. It's on-time traffic with Commander Chuck.
Good afternoon, TDOT. Still assisting with a couple of earlier accidents. Building pretty good now on all the major outbound routes. It remains heavy. Certain sections of Amnicola going outbound. Still stop and go over here at Discovery Drive at Volkswagen Drive, but it's building pretty good on 58 back out towards Harrison. Riggs Lock and Key, Chattanooga's leading locksmith. They've been around since 1973. If you need their help 24 hours a day and you get locked out, call Riggs Lock and Key. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
From the Alon Planning Partners Weather Center, here's your forecast on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Visit them online at alonplanning.com or give them a call at 423-315-1441.
Storms this evening could produce some gusty winds along with heavy rain, small hail, and lightning. Be weather aware this evening. Moving into the overnight, clearing out 66 for Tuesday morning. Tuesday afternoon, lower humidity, still warm with a high of 87. 88 and partly cloudy on Wednesday. Hot and muggy Thursday. We'll have a high of 90 degrees. And then scattered storms back in the forecast each day Friday through the weekend. Download the Local 3 weather app, free for iPhone and Android. I'm Chief Meteorologist David Carnes for the Local 3 Storm Alert Team.
Your current Milligan Vane temperature is 79 degrees. MilliganVane.com.
Some mornings call for a little extra comfort. Introducing Hardees' new home-style breakfast burritos with cheese, fluffy egg, crispy hash browns, breakfast sausage, bacon, and sliced ham in a warm tortilla served with a side of Texas Pete hot sauce. Home-style breakfast burritos, only at Hardees. Goodness in the making. My Rewards members get a free blueberry biscuit or sausage biscuit when you order on the app. Limited time only. Exclusions may apply by time of day. See app for terms.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew